another edition of the Bullheaded Podcast. I'm your host, per usual, Sean Tyson, here with Zoo and Peebush. How you guys doing?
Oh, man. These guys can attest, and any listeners who listened last week can attest, but I'm dead in the water, and it's been a tough weekend. Still a great weekend of basketball to watch. I've had a hell of a time those 4 days really watching the games. Always goes by like that, and you're sad. But on a happier note, Bulls are getting a little healthier, Zoo, so I am happy about that.
Yeah, shout out to the P-Dubs, but we talking college basketball, and when I was watching that Tennessee game, I had the biggest smirk on my face, man. I'm like, okay, mark him off, man. Mark off the champion on P-Bush's bracket. All those rounds, all I got now to worry about is Arizona. And I'm looking at that match against TCU, they don't look that good. I got a little nervous because I actually got Zona and a couple of my brackets going pretty far, but they look like straight doo-doo against TCU, man. Like,
Bailed
TCU,
out. Dude,
they look like the better team. I don't know about you guys, but I thought the team
they look more
purple,
physical.
They got in purple. They got the big boy, the big chubby dude. I don't even know what his name is, but that guy was bodying him, man. Oh man, but
that was a foul at midcourt. They definitely got
absolutely.
They definitely got bailed out on that, and it was kind of, I guess, poetic justice that he wasn't able to get the shot off,
get the layup,
whatever they had to decide in overtime. So yeah, I was sweating it out with Arizona. Shout out to I think his first name's Benedict. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right, but. I think he's actually a Canadian. He's like 6'6". If I would have known a little bit more about him as a guard, I probably would have looked at like kind of his NBA draft type stock, because they said he's got like a lot of potential just because of like his ability to play both guards. But he made a huge shot, and I kept my bracket alive. So shout out to the Wildcats, see if they can actually get to the Final Four. But that's what we're going to be starting. If you guys don't know, it was a lot of crazy games at the beginning of the tournament. Per usual, March Madness living up to their billing of it being a lot of madness. But now we're going to kind of focus on the Sweet 16. What I would say, there's a couple of teams here that are, I would say, a big time surprise making it this far. So I wanted to ask the guys where they stand at, in terms of the matchups with Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight and things like that. And P-Bush, I'm going to start with you.
We got a couple 11 seeds in it. I think the most surprising, and I think everybody would agree, is the Iowa State-Miami matchup. I don't think anybody predicted that. Miami is fun to watch. They're a great team. They play great basketball. They're run and gun. They have a hell of a point guard. Getting his name off the top of my head. But, man, they were just absolutely dismantling teams left and right. I think, and I like to call him Jim Boeheim 2.0. I know that's not his real coach name. But I do think the Iowa State story has been probably the most interesting, besides St. Peter's, obviously, because they were 15. But Iowa State, man, they went from having like 20 losses last year to making the Sweet 16 with pretty much one coaching change and not much else. I mean, they do have that beast freshman from the Big 12. I think he won Freshman of the Year. But look, they out-grinded a team that is known for out-grinding teams, and that's Wisconsin. That was impressive. Obviously, Wisconsin can't play at home, which is their bread and butter. But they ground out that team, man, that has some solid Johnny Davis. You could argue he could be an NBA guy next year or, down the road. So that's a game I'm kind of watching just to see who the heck makes it through and has to eventually face either Kansas or Providence. I do think Miami's going to come out on top there. But I am that one, and I'm eyeing the UNC-UCLA game. There's a lot of good games going on, but I think UNC making that shocking upset against Baylor that probably should have been a blowout. You can talk about the refs all you want, but similar to what happened in the TCU Zona game, they still got themselves to overtime and they were able to pull it out against one of the best teams in the country, the former champs. So, I mean, I got UCLA winning this one through, man. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I do think just because of UCLA's experience, it's going to be, they were in the Final Four last year. They lost on a half-court buzzer beater. How much closer can you get to making a championship game? Jalen Suggs to thank for that for UCLA Bruin fans. But I do think that this team has a lot of experience. Johnny Juzang's great. They got that point guard. What's his name? Off the top of my head.
Tiger. I think his name.
Tiger Campbell. Yep, Tiger Campbell. Absolute monster. He plays the mid-range game like it's his job. They're a fun team to watch, and that's definitely a game I'll be eyeing because UNC, they can light it up if they want to, man.
Yeah, man, that East region I think is the most interesting region
By far.
This entire tournament, especially with the top two seeds, the 1 and 2 seeds falling in Baylor, Kentucky. My Lord, that Kentucky one shocked me so much. So much. That's as close to the lock as you get. St. Peter's, like I in New Jersey. I don't know. Never heard of this roster, man. Didn't know a single player. Even watching, I'm like, man, they were saying guys' names. I'm like, who the hell are these people, man? Like, and you got
ain't scared of anyone.
Yeah. clearly, man, because they beat Kentucky. And it didn't even look like a fluke, man. It looked like it just straight up outplayed them. And I'm watching this. I'm just like, man. John Calipari, not getting it done since 80, man. It's been a while since John Calipari even made it far in a tournament.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, you don't need to win a championship or make the Final Four every year. But the dude losing in the first round, man, 215 upset, man. One of this big dudes over like an 18-point spread. Like, my Lord, this is a massive upset, man. It's a joke. To the Kentucky Wildcats losing to that, like they won as many games as IU, man. Shout out to the Hoosiers for sucking, my God, I had a free bet and I bet on my team. Stupidest move I've ever bet on.
Never bet on your team.
That's heart over mind, man.
The thing is, it was not even a close game. It wasn't even respectable.
No.
Disrespectful, man.
Yeah.
Disrespectful. Take $40,000 of tuition from me, and then you show up like that.
Yeah.
So embarrassing.
Clearly didn't invest your money.
Man, St. Mary's, my goodness, embarrassing. But, man, it's poopy Hoosiers, man. What a joke of a franchise. My Lord.
Institution.
I couldn't get over that game. I was watching that game. I couldn't believe my mind. But I was watching it. I was just like, what the fuck is going on, man? What the hell is going on?
Well,
Jackson, the post guy. Come on.
I mean, Zoo, to your point, Big Ten and SEC have been
joke.
Pretty big letdowns
this year. Look like the Little Ten right now,
and SEC,
man.
They had Tennessee, Auburn,
Alabama.
and Bama. The only one standing is Arkansas. LSU got knocked out in the first round.
LSU. I thought they're gonna make it actually win a couple rounds, but yeah. But I don't know. This East region has shocked me a little. But the one team that has not shocked me is Purdue, baby. As now I am an anti-Hoosier after that disrespectful performance. And the Purdue Boilermakers have proven
joining the bandwagon?
Oh no, I didn't join the bandwagon. I started the bandwagon, man. Right. I bet on them when their odds are plus 2,300. So let's give it that money, baby. Oh, let's give it that money because right now, as I'm watching, man, as I mentioned before, the point guard play, baby. Jaden Ivey, primarily ball handler, primary creator, and primary scorer. As I watch him play, this guy's an NBA player. And this guy ain't going to be an average NBA player. I get this guy could be a high caliber starting.
Potential.
Yeah, this guy could be a high caliber
with that jumper.
Super fast. Like as you saw, hit some nice clutch 3 shots to bail out his team because they were in danger of losing the second round. But he stepped up, and I'm just like, man, this guy's going to put his team on his back. And if you look at this region now, with the upsets, it's opening wide open right now. Like, obviously, I respect UCLA because what they did last year against Gonzaga, as you mentioned, and pretty much they should have beat that Gonzaga team. Like, it took a miracle shot by Jalen Suggs, and pretty much the entire roster is like pretty much back. Yeah. So that's a legitimate team. North Carolina, like it was a close game. Like even went to OT, but that was a butt whooping, man. Yeah, that was a butt whooping. Like I was watching that, I was like, man, I knew Baylor was not going to repeat because you ain't going back to back after losing Davion Mitchell. Like you lost your best player, Davion Mitchell, and you're going to go back to back or even make it far in a tournament run. No, last year was your year. This year you got to move on. So they got an ass whooped by UNC, which proved himself that after beating Duke, like North Carolina's legit.
Yeah,
they are legit, and as an 8th seed, man, they embarrassed Marquette. Yeah, that game was a joke. That game was a joke, man. Like they beat them by.
Should have had a running clock.
They're hot. They're confident after that Duke win, man.
Absolutely.
Coach K goodbye. That was their confidence riser, man. But hey, Sean, real quick, I thought you were going to go 3 for 3 on conspiracies and sports back to back, man. With that Baylor coming back, my Lord, I was like, this kid's on a roll.
Yeah, I'll keep telling you, like. The tournament is for, TV and I want to and betting. I think a lot of people, with especially now that betting is because you got to think people think, well, everybody's bet. Yeah, people have bet for a long time, but now that it's on your phone and everybody has access to it, except for me in South Carolina in terms of betting online, or betting from your phone. But I'm saying like that impact of, doing all those type of bets and just different types of parlays, things like that. You just can't ever see games getting that out of hand, especially when that much money is on the line. And with Baylor being a number 1 seed, I was watching that game because one of my friends is a huge North Carolina fan, and wanted to say, I was like, yeah, that's a flagrant 1 when Manic got thrown out. But I just had it. I was like, they're going to give him a flagrant 2 because this game's out of hand. And if you was watching the game, Manic was going off because he's quietly, like I think he averaged like 15 in the season. and now he's averaging like 28, 27 for the tournament. So he's almost doubling what he did in the regular season. So, and one thing about North Carolina, like, I don't know, they don't have like any obvious NBA guys, but RJ Davis, he could be a really good bench guy, I think, in NBA. He's like not the most explosive, like he's gonna get by you, but like his shot is really quick and he's good. Like I think out of high school, he's from New York and he kind of was like labeled as a 2 guard, so he's like a 5'11", 6'2" guard, but he can shoot and he's also fearless going to the basket. So he could maybe carve himself out of a role in the NBA, not like as a star, but like with the ability to shoot, he can maybe be something in the NBA doing something that's like a little microwave player, but. I really like UNC a lot. I think I'm probably, if I would have done it earlier, like I could revise my picks, I would definitely pick them to probably almost possibly go to the Final Four because they're playing with a lot of confidence. And now looking at how the bracket's setting up, like they could get there and it could be a matchup. Like I could even imagine if Duke and UNC got to meet in like a final, like that would be a ratings bonanza because I don't even know if that's ever happened in the tournament. Maybe it has. I hadn't.
UNC and Duke,
like in a Final Four setting, like
probably not. Probably definitely some Duke Kentuckys. That was the Leitner shot, right? That might have been Elite Eight, but if you get a true rivalry game where both teams are obviously relevant, they're in the Final Four. Yeah, that is the definition of what the NCAA March Madness team wants. For their viewership right there, especially Coach K's last season.
Definitely. But outside of UNC, like I said, it's been set up a little differently just for me with looking at how I can see teams maybe making a run. Like I was saying before the podcast, Michigan, they just always seems to win, so it's kind of dumb for me not to pick them. I just think I got caught up at the end of the season and how they finished. But one team that kind of like they're just a bunch of dogs is Houston. I watched that game first. Are
you going to bring him up, Sean?
Houston,
I'm upsetting Zona.
Houston, and I don't know. Did Kelvin Sampson?
It's only a 1-point spread, man. It's pretty much a pick 'em right now.
Houston looked,
I money lined Houston.
They look like just, and you know what it is they seem like the type of team where they have like one guy that's probably like a highly recruited guy. Because I was looking back, they had a couple of guys like transfer out, but they also had like a few NBA guys that's not stars, but they're in the league. But if you go back and look at their ratings, like coming out of high school, they're not stars. Mm-hmm. And it kind of speaks to, and I'm not a huge AAU guy, but I know enough to know like the whole Houston, Dallas, AAU scene is they're like travel teams are all really good. It's not like, they have the elite ones. Like I know Julius Randle was on one that was like in Dallas, but like a lot of their AAU teams go national and they do really well. And that's just a lot of great players out of that area. So with Houston, they just get the guys that I guess play on those teams and they just put them together. And Kelvin Sampson is able to master up a lot of just tenacity defensively. Like all their guys can get like kind of move off the dribble, and they're just gonna always fight you hard. And they don't have any type of quit. So they could be a team that easily gets to the Final Four.
And their three guards both put up 15 against Illinois. And Illinois is not a scrub team. Obviously, they got Kofi Cockburn, one of the better players in college. Yeah. He got his, but they did not allow anything else. And their offense just looks like butter, man. It flows so easily. When your guards are each putting up they're putting up 15, 18, and 21 respectively, I think that fits Zoo's algorithm right there.
Yeah. And it makes me nervous because they're playing Zona. So.
Exactly. I need it. Come on.
I hate that.
Come on, baby.
I wish it was switched. I wish like in that matchup it was like they were playing Villanova or Michigan because I wasn't too impressed with Villanova. I wasn't at all, especially against Ohio State.
Another well-coached team, man. Another well-coached college team.
So,
but boys, I got to point out my stat again. The AP, I'm telling you, the power of the AP poll predictions. Week 4, week 6, top 13 for 3 consecutive weeks. According to this trend, man, the only teams that are left in this list are Purdue, Duke, UCLA, Gonzaga, Kansas, and Zona. So looking like this year, one of these, I'm guaranteeing it that one of these teams are going to win the championship right now. This trend ain't dying right now, man. I'm sorry.
I'll take UCLA.
You take UCLA? And obviously, Sean, your Zona's in there.
Yeah,
so I'm scared of them, man. Any other team not in the trend? Nah. Houston, nah. I'm not scared of any other team not in this list, man. This is my list right now, so.
Zags will probably go to the Final Four, but they haven't looked impressive.
Timmy's going to get wrecked by someone.
Even like the first game and second, like Memphis,
First half?
Oh yeah.
Whew, they were down.
Jalen Duran, I think he's going to shoot up the
Holmgren
draft
looked like
boards.
garbage in that second game.
Yeah.
After his Wilt performance.
Yeah.
All those blocks. Yeah. I don't know. Chet's he's gonna be he's the ultimate boomer bust. We'll be talking about him way down the line with the draft, but he's a boomer bust guy because he's got a skill set, but it's just I don't and they said the same thing about Katie, but people like I think people get confused. They just look at like tall Langley guys and they just think, okay, well they'll just gain weight, but it's like it's more about frame. And like Katie had a frame. He just was skinny and he's still skinny, but he has a frame. Like Chet is very like he looks like he like grew too fast. Like Anthony Davis grew fast.
Dude, his body just looks awkward.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it just looks awkward.
It's like
It looks slim.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the hunchback in Notre Dame, man, with his hunchback, man. I'm like, bro, let's straighten that
Hunchback in
posture,
Notre Dame.
baby. Let's straighten that up. Be a 7-footer.
Yeah. He just I don't know. He's gonna be either a superstar or he'll be like a bench guy. I don't know. He's probably another good example of what team he goes to is probably gonna be dictate a lot. Like if he goes to the Magic or something, good luck.
Oh, dude. I'm just saying, if he goes to Detroit, Darko Milicic flashback.
Yes, absolutely.
I swear to God, man. It's not fair to the kid, but people will be looking at that, man.
Yeah.
But
they don't have a joke of a game against Arkansas. They're not. This is the SEC team that's actually pulling through and representing. So they got a little bit of pride on their back, chip on their shoulder. Everyone else around them that they've beaten or lost to throughout the year is gone. And so they're saying, we got this. We're playing against a team that really only, obviously they play they're out of conference, but their really only competition every year is St. Mary's. And I don't want to say that doesn't take anything away from what Gonzaga is able to do. But I think if you can contain Drew Timme, that team is going to implode. Because if he doesn't get 25 and 8, 25 and 9 a night, and it's all through, it's the same rip through and one layup every single time. He's got one move. He's the typical power forward.
I saw that on
college
Twitter.
Basketball. Yeah. No,
Timmy's
he's the Tyler Hansboroughs, the Luke Herringodes of college basketball.
Luke Herringody.
So I'm not, and he's a stud, but I don't think it's going to translate. And I think that at the end of the day, you have every team that wins a championship usually has a guy that you can see going into the league. To Zoo's point, Purdue's got their guy. A couple other teams may have him as well. UCLA with Juzang. It could be interesting, man. It's a wide open field, even though there's still a lot of number one seeds left. I think that's the most interesting part.
Yeah, that is true. Like outside of maybe St. Peter's and maybe Iowa State.
Oh, Purdue, I'm telling you right now, ass whooping, man. St. Peter's get an ass
come on,
whooping.
Come on.
But every other team, Sean, I'm guessing what you're going to say is they have a chance to at least make the championship game, not win it all. I don't think all of them can pull it off. But all these teams besides St. Peter's, Iowa State, hell, dude, I'd even consider Miami, even though they're probably the lowest probability. They can just wreck teams with havoc, and you never know what that can do in one game. So they all got a chance.
We saw it with Auburn, and our fears came to life when we talked about Auburn's guards. Like, They just was not good. They just was not good, and Jabari struggled. So
thank the Lord I changed my bracket after looking at the analytics, man. There was an analytics update. It had Auburn, and then it gave me Arizona to come out. So I'm good, man. That's a little better. But man, Auburn, that was embarrassing.
Yeah,
but it wasn't surprising. I picked him just because I believed in Jabari, but if he couldn't.
Dude, it was even a game. It was a blowout, man. Like,
but Miami,
it's hard to happen.
Miami,
you got two NBA caliber guys. Obviously, I told you no PG, so no championship. But man, you lose to come on.
Somebody was saying Miami had I think they have two 24-year-olds on their team.
Experience, man. It'll help.
So yeah, I think that's being just when the game gets in that, and I kind of have this theory too, like. When it gets to the second half and you're the higher seeded team and it's within 5 or 10 points, you're in trouble. Because then the other team starts to think, well, they should be, especially when it's in those first and second round games. Yeah, they just think, okay, these guys ain't as good as we thought. Like, basketball is funny like that. That's why it's March Madness. It's called March Madness because if it gets close, if you don't put, like how UNC did Marquette, if you don't do that early, people get confidence. Like, people get confident and teams get confident. And then next thing you know, you start pressing and, if, like you say, Zoo point, you don't have an NBA guard that can settle you down. It can get dicey. So we're definitely going to be, looking into, the Sweet 16, Elite 8, and be talking about the Final Four. And we'll see how that shakes out. But
so Pat, Who's your updated champion now, post Tennessee?
My updated who do I want or who do I think?
Who do you think?
I know who he wants, but
yeah, I mean, I probably want UCLA. I do think
Yeah.
UCLA will make the Final Four. I don't think that Purdue can only ride on Jaden Ivey. I hate to say it. Zach Edey can cause problems and obviously destroy St. Peter's. I think he'll end up having a harder time.
Man. They got some bigs down low, man.
I just don't think Purdue has as much experience as UCLA, who they'll have to go up against, or maybe a Texas Tech team or a Gonzaga team coming out into the Final Four aspect. So I'm gonna stick with UCLA actually. But if I was to pick a second, I would probably pick Kansas actually, because they have the easiest side.
Yeah, Kansas,
they do have
Kansas low key a team that was faded.
But Ochai's not looking great. He hasn't played unbelievable. It's just that
I might go with the Friars in that game if I.
But that's the thing. I could see Ed Cooley's Providence team knocking them off. But but if you're looking at pure probability, Kansas has the easiest path to the Final Four of any one or
based on
1 to 3
strictly
seed.
Based on seeding, because of just
exactly.
all the upsets.
Exactly. It's kind of who else has helped around you in your region to give you an easier path. So, but like Sean said, man, I could pick a champion from any one of these matchups, except for probably the Iowa State Miami game. A champion. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But Tennessee. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, that was a tough one. Juwan Howard consoling that kid too. I think that was the freshman.
The point guard.
He was a beast for them.
He was really good.
Chandler.
Yeah.
Kennedy.
Shows he cares.
Or Chandler Kennedy. Chandler Kennedy. I think I flipped those.
Yeah, something like that. Really quick, we're going long on this, but would you know how like in the NFL they do reseeding? Would you guys be in favor of reseeding after the second round?
Nah.
I thought that would be interesting.
Nah.
Just to see that. Like if they actually did that.
Nah, you want to know your opponents, man. Come on.
Yeah.
You gotta know your regions. You gotta know your opponents. You gotta plan ahead, man. You gotta plan ahead. You look at Purdue right now, licking their chops. They're licking their chops right now, man. UCLA, North Carolina, bring it on, man.
Didn't you have Kentucky knocking off Purdue in our bracket though?
I did, because that was
who beat Kentucky.
St. Peter's.
Okay. I'm telling you. Okay. No. The thing is. That was analytic bracket. I didn't make one decision in that bracket. Not one decision.
Not one. Go the analytic, man. Come on.
Yeah, I went with the analytic. I didn't like Kentucky. You know why? Kentucky did not maintain that top 13 seed week 4 to week 6. That's why I didn't have him on my list, man. I got a yellow highlight in my Excel spreadsheet. Eliminated automatically, man. But the rest of those teams, UCLA, I'm a little scared, man.
Yeah.
Arizona, I'm a little scared, man. Duke, I'm a little scared of Duke right now. So we'll see what happens. But I'm rooting for Texas Tech to get the job done. So
I'd be happy with upsets across the board this week.
We'll need to pick them, man. We'll need to beat them, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Upsets are going to continue to come along, I think. I could see Texas Tech knocking off Duke. Arkansas could give it to them. Houston. Michigan could easily play Nova, and Providence could play Kansas. I think those are like the big ones to watch this week.
Yeah. That is, I don't know if it's going to be the amount of upsets it was in the first 2 rounds, which it usually isn't, but it could be some different types of teams that step up. And I do think the Final Four is going to look a whole lot different than what a lot of people predicted, just because of how St. Peter's, not saying they're going to make a run, but just how they beat Kentucky. Yeah, it's definitely going to be different.
And Auburn losing.
Yeah, so.
Sean,
but that's the madness.
Do you have an updated champion, or are you keeping with Zona?
I'm keeping Zona.
You keeping Zona?
Zona. Even though that game, TCU dominant game, the fact that Benedict guy, he's like a 6'6",
30-piece.
Talk about Jaden Ivey. Go look at Benedict, his game. Like he's a 6'6" guard who's long, can defend, and he can do a lot of stuff. I knew Arizona as a team was good, but I didn't know how good he was, and he's like starting to shoot up draft.
Yeah, he's a projected top 10 pick.
Yeah, he's shooting up. I think he's
posterized that one kid. Whew.
Yeah.
Benedict Mathurin. That's his name.
Yeah, he showed me a lot in the game with that shot. He just took it with so much confidence, and it was pure. So I was nervous, but now I'm even more nervous with them going against Houston because I really like Houston a lot. So
you were talking about them all pre-tourney.
Yeah, if they get past Houston, then I can see them.
Yeah.
I'll go as far as it is. If they beat Houston, they could win it.
I agree. I think
but
this is actually their biggest test.
If they can't beat Houston, then that'll be their biggest test. I feel like because then, like I say, I'll just say this: those two teams one of those two teams going to be in the Final Four. Houston or Arizona.
Houston, Arizona.
Yeah.
There's a guy, Zoo, in one of my brackets that has Houston and Providence in his Final Four, and I could not believe it. I was like, wow.
What?
He has all. He has. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't have. I think he has. Kansas or Providence and Houston. He has Houston losing in the championship game to Gonzaga.
Interesting.
If he gets that, that is a hell of a pick, man.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, Houston.
Whew. He deserves.
I say,
it.
man, Houston. And listen, Houston lost I think their 2 top guys and just
Mm-hmm.
kept rolling, which is great. So if they had their other guys, they might have been just blowing teams out. Didn't Kelvin Sampson coach with IU?
Yes, he did. He was the one that got Eric Gordon, but then Eric Gordon had to leave because of all the allegations that Kelvin Sampson brought to Indiana about recruiting. And enter Tom Crean. So yeah, there you go.
So maybe there might be some on the horizon for Houston. Who knows?
He almost pulled off the Derrick Rose recruit too with EG. Ooh, that would have been nasty.
That would have been
Holy
nasty
cow.
for real. They played on the same AAU team, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. That's why. Yeah,
That would have been nasty.
but then again, Rose may have had an extra person take the SAT for him. So
Allegedly, yeah.
allegedly. Sorry.
Yeah, my
That's
man
like 13
D-Rose,
years old now.
Yeah, my man D Rose was not the brightest guy, man. He a little stupid in the test taking room, man. He a little stupid, man.
Not on the basketball floor though.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll be keeping in line with the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. So you guys just make sure you look at Bullheaded_pod to look at all the latest stuff with the tournament. There's no shortage of news. I will say that March is starting to become. This might be the best news month of the year. It might be
100%.
just with March Madness and NFL accusations, but
We'll get to Deshaun.
Got your mind on Deshaun, man. Got your mind on Deshaun, man.
I was jumping the gun on it. But it's just been a lot of NFL news. I will say a lot of NFL news has been dropping, and it kind of sucks that it was on a Friday because I feel like it didn't get as much just in the time news coverage until like maybe that this coming Monday. That might have been planned, but it's just been a lot of movement with Deshaun, Devontae, just quarterback signing left and right. So I wanted to ask the guys, what is their biggest news story so far in the NFL or any sport? But we're mainly talking about NFL and Zoo. I'm gonna go with you, man.
I don't know about the biggest, man, but this is an interesting one, man. I'm going with a little off ball, man. Matty Ice, man.
Yeah,
Matty Ice. When I saw
Not mad
that,
at that.
a 3rd round pick. Yeah, that's nothing, man. I'm sorry. I'm like,
Yeah.
legit, pretty much they flipped
Absolutely.
the pick and another player. Like Carson Wentz was pretty much flipped for a 3rd round pick, correct? So they flipped pretty much Carson Wentz and another dude for Matt Ryan. And that's very, very interesting. Because you're getting a guy. It's called Matty Ice for a reason. It ain't Carson Wentz, man. When in the clutch, man, this guy makes some silliness, man. He's a silly football player. But Matty Ice with that offensive line, that
O-line, yeah.
That O-line. Like Matty Ice.
And
like,
a running back.
Like he can't run at all. So it's a good thing he got an O-line that will be able to protect him and a running back in JT, man, had a historical year, man. I'm just like, man, the Indianapolis Colts should have made the playoffs this year.
Absolutely.
They were good enough to make the playoffs, and they would have been a scary team in the playoffs. But Matt Ryan, I think they were definitely going to make the playoffs now because I think of a balance of power, getting a legitimate quarterback, a guy that had an MVP season, like this guy is going to put the Colts in the playoffs this year, man. This is a playoff
In a weak
move.
division too.
Yeah, and I like how all these teams are going for it right now.
Yeah.
I like that, man. I like that. The NFL, everyone's like, okay, let's just go all in right now. And it's going to be a hell of a showcase because, my Lord, the amount of QB movement has been freaking ridiculous. Like the NFL, more like the NBA right now with these free agency moves right now, man. It's outrageous what's going on right now. And the only quarterback that nobody wants, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
It's looking bleak. It's looking very bleak.
And Jimmy G, I guess you could say technically.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
I mean, no, I like that. That's a good point. When I saw that Matt Ryan, I was like, that's a place where he could actually do something. I do think they need to give him another weapon or two. He likes to throw it down the field, and they're definitely a run-heavy offense. So we'll see how they adjust to that. I think that they could become a scary team, especially if they get Michael Pittman going with them. Whew, that guy could have a nice little breakout year, even though he had a good one last year.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a couple. I do think the Rams adding Allen Robinson was nice, especially with Robert Woods leaving. They needed a guy to kind of help Stafford, but also take some stress off of Cooper Kupp because we know he's going to be getting attempted to be double teamed every single year or every single game next year. We all know how that usually worked out this past year. But I do got to shout out the man. the AFC West was just absolutely popping off, and then the Raiders were just kind of sitting there, and then they screwed over my boy Zoo and took Devontae Adams away, and now Aaron Rodgers is not even. He's only thrown to Alan Lazard. You got your number one wideout. You got your number one wideout, Zoo. We'll see how he does now. But 2 first-rounders, hefty price. I do think the Packers will end up using those draft picks, hopefully, to draft some talent for Rodgers. But look, man, you could argue that Derek Carr has one of the best weapon sets in the league now. He's got the number one wideout, arguably number one with Cooper in Devontae. Hunter Renfrow. Oof. And then you got Darren Waller, who was kind of quiet this past year. Don't sleep on Josh Jacobs too. Maybe for fantasy, sleep on him, but don't sleep on him as a talent. And they're vying for a division that could arguably all 4 teams could make the playoffs this year, and that just blows my mind. So, not saying Derek Carr is the end all be all for a championship team, but they are definitely giving him as much help as possible. Something that the Packers could take a little note from.
Yeah, I didn't even want to mention that, man. Seeing that movie.
Sorry, man, I had to do it.
It was just
so happy
sad.
2 weeks ago.
It was so sad, man, dude. The minute I saw Devontae Adams buy a $12.1 million house in Vegas, I'm like, you don't buy a $12.1 million house unless you're living there a lot.
Just to bet?
Yeah, man. I'm just watching. I'm just like, man. First I'm like, man, that's nothing. But then, not gonna lie, he does look good in a Raiders uniform, man. He does look good in a Raiders uniform, but man, who the hell is Aaron Rodgers gonna throw to? Can't throw it to himself, man.
It's the Bears division again, baby.
My Lord. I'm like, they couldn't even get an Allen Robinson. He goes to the freaking defending champions, man. Like Alan Lazard?
Yeah. I was waiting
Alan Lazard? Come on, man.
What's the other guy? Van Scantling or
Marquez Valdez
Scantling.
Scantling. Oh MVP. My Lord. Aaron Rodgers ain't winning MVP with these receivers. Like, dude, this guy, I feel like this guy could be bitching all year, man, because he lost.
They're gonna have to draft somebody. They definitely draft somebody.
They better draft somebody because my Lord, man. The problem is, do you guys see a Justin Jeff or a Jamar Chase in this draft?
No, this receiver draft is deep.
It's pretty deep.
It's deep. Jameson Williams towards ACL.
You need like a go-to guy because
Jameson Williams towards ACL, but before he might be ready by camp, but he's a monster. He's a bad
There's
receiver.
options. There's options.
He left Ohio State, and everybody's like, well, good riddance because you're the third receiver. No, he was the best receiver because he went to Bama and tore it up.
You want to go play with Aaron Rodgers for your first NFL season, man.
Yeah.
That makes your job and transition loads easier. Just ask Devontae Adams when he came into the league, man.
Yeah.
Right? Rodgers just made his life easier.
Yeah, the crazy part is, like, with Rodgers signing, like, he knew Devontae Adams wasn't coming back, and he still took the contract. So I don't know what management and Rodgers are planning, because obviously Aaron Rodgers wants more talent around, but, like, what are they planning? Is it just the draft? So you guys think this draft is that good that they can replace a Pro Bowl wide receiver in Devontae Adams?
He could always retire. And I hate to say it, a lot of players have done it. They've signed contracts and retired a year or two into it.
Alexander did it. Freaking insane if he did that.
I know, I'm not saying he's going to retire before this season even starts, but I'm saying he doesn't necessarily have to play all 4 years, especially if this next year and maybe the year after do not go well.
I mean that like I said, that theory of him retiring would be insane.
Very Rodgers.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be like you say if you have to pick a quarterback in the league to do something like that. It would be Aaron Rodgers, definitely, because he seems like he goes his emotions are up and down all the time. But just in terms of talking about football wise with Aaron, he is older, but Aaron Rodgers for the most part has been able to do pretty well with receivers. Like nobody's saying they're going to get a Devontae in the draft because nobody knows after the first year you're going to have a guy that's the level of Devontae. But, I think what they should do is because they're picking pretty late, they would probably have to trade up. So they have to maybe package some of their draft picks to get one of those guys, the Ohio State guys or the Bama guy, whoever they have their eyes on, they're going to have to trade up to do that. And I have confidence that Aaron, whoever they bring in, he's going to be able to, transition smoothly their first year. So, but no, they're not going to be able to replace Devontae this year if you're asking that. No, they're not going to be able to replace him.
No.
Because he's still one of the top 3 receivers. And, I almost think they got, they get up 2 first rounds or they got I don't know. I can't get a player back.
I think.
If I was them, I would have been like, hey, can I get Brian Edwards is nice developmental fourth piece, I would have asked for him or something. Like, I don't know why they didn't ask for that, but yeah, because they got 3 solid guys, like you say, 3 options. So, I don't know.
Picks don't help you now, man. Got to get some players, man.
They only help you.
But nobody wants to go to
Green
Bay either. Nobody wants to go to Green Bay either, dog.
True.
Nobody wants to go there. If I get Vegas, Chicago, I'm not going to Green Bay. Who wants to live in Green Bay?
Yeah.
Seriously,
Appleton,
who
Wisconsin,
wants to live there? Like, I know they are so lucky that they have the history of Green Bay, because if they were like a franchise that didn't win or have any type of history, they would have been moved. I'd rather live in Jacksonville. At least it's warm.
Yeah.
And there's a decent beach.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not moving to Green Bay. Like, and they still got to take care of Jair Alexander. I don't think he's signed yet. He's their best, like one of the best players on the team.
Aaron Jones is gonna have to convert to slot receiver.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, if I was the team, I'd consider it.
And have AJ Dillon as your full-time back.
He's a beast. AJ Dillon is a beast.
But you guys already know where I'm going. It's Deshaun. That was the biggest signing. And
you've been waiting this for what? About a year?
A year and like what? 2 to 3 months.
Yeah, something like that.
And I like draft picks, but in this one, give them all up. I didn't care. Like when they were talking about and I actually thought it was like light what they gave back.
I thought it was an Onion article.
Be 4.
I was like, Deshaun to Cleveland? Nah, no way.
Something stupid. Yeah, it still didn't even register when I saw it on like House of Highlights and all those other was putting it up. I still didn't want to think. I was like, oh, they got it wrong. They're too early. It was only until like I got like the actual alert on my phone. I was like, God, like this is actually going on. And if we're being 100% transparent, I think the 230 guaranteed had a lot to do with him going to Cleveland. I do. Because I don't think any team was gonna do that deal.
That is the highest guarantee ever, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
Very Cleveland move. They needed it, man.
Yeah.
Their fans are fiending in that division.
And that's what do you want to talk about just the leverage, like how they talk about the leverage of franchises in the NFL? That speaks to a Cleveland move. Like there's certain like I guess you could say franchises in the NFL that don't do that because of who they are and what they've accomplished in the league as an organization.
Chicago.
Cleveland has to do that because if not, nobody's looking at them as like, okay, this is the destination because of the history and how they run it. No. You got to go over and beyond to give, a contract to someone like Deshaun. And, shout out to him for signing it because do I think that was his first choice? No. I really do believe the reports about it being New Orleans and Atlanta. I think that's where he probably wanted to end up going.
Best talent, though.
Yeah, you can't
chance to win,
and
by far.
I also think too. I won't say 100%. I mean, I'll probably say like 90 because Cleveland does have options on their roster. Like it's not like it's bare and it's just desolate. They just haven't won ever, but they have a lot of good options. And now that I'm hearing Jarvis may come back and do like a team friendly deal, and they have 2 really really good running backs. It's a nice situation. I don't think it's like Russell going to the AFC West because Lamar. This is going to be a huge prover year for Lamar because he kind of had a down year last year. We know what Joe Burrow is, but he's still young, and they got high. But nobody's saying Joe Burrow's going to take over that.
Don't forget the 4th, Mitchell Trubisky.
The Steelers. Let me tell you,
man.
Let me tell you, man. If I'm Pittsburgh, I do whatever it takes to get. I don't know if you guys watched Malik Willis's pro day.
That bomb, he threw like 80 yards.
Not even just that, like
a dime.
His little like just go routes that he was throwing, he wasn't even putting. I know you have to be accurate in NFL, and he's 6'1" maybe, but dude, he's got the tools. Like he's just got a lot of tools, and a lot of people keep saying because Carolina, like Panthers example, they're like the one team in the AFC South that doesn't know what they're really doing at quarterback. I think they're at 6 or 7 in the they're like right. They need to go after him because he's got the goods. Like now, I don't know. He's got to be able to transition from Liberty, but we've seen Josh Allen was from Wyoming. Now, even though Josh Allen is a freak in terms of just an athlete, he's not just some regular small time college quarterback from a small school, but he's got a lot of tools. And none of these guys, I'd be like, yeah, these are franchise guys. But just if I'm going to take a flyer on one of these quarterbacks, it'd be him because he's got a lot of tools. He's got a lot of tools. I'm not saying Mr. Trubisky is trash, but they need to have somebody in the wings.
Yeah, they need somebody to develop. He's only there for 2 years, so it's like they need to come up with some sort of long-term game plan.
Yeah. So, but I'm already I got the Browns will win that division. I already got it down. I think they'll win it. Yeah. I
But
think Deshaun's
yeah,
gonna get a lot of
but
visits.
yeah,
I gotta see Deshaun play.
Yeah, put this in
I ain't worried
perspective.
about it.
Suspension.
Well, if he does, yeah. He might. I didn't even think about it.
Four
He might
game
get 6
right
years,
now.
4
4 game
suspensions.
suspension. Are you still picking the
That's
Browns?
tough. No.
No.
I forgot about decision. No, if it's 4 games. Now, if it's
An extra game.
4 games
remember.
and it's not no division, if it's not any division games within that
Divisional
4
games?
games, yeah, I might still pick them. But I don't
We'll
know.
see, man.
We can talk about that another time. Like I say, there's going to be a lot of changing, of the guard with NFL quarterbacks, running backs, whatever, free agency. Is going to be a lot of stuff going on with that. Make sure you guys tune in to Bullheaded_pod for more information. Didn't even really touch on the NBA, but there's been a lot of players just going off with all
50
these
pieces,
games.
man.
Yeah, just left and right. Like
right.
Sadiq Bey had 50. Like, what is
come
going
on.
on?
Yeah.
Like
It's like what
Sadiq
Corey
Bey
Brewer did.
is
Like
crazy.
Corey
Like,
Brewer
Yeah,
dropped
that is
50.
the Corey Brewer outlier coefficient,
Yeah.
man. That's what that is, man.
who I think Christian Wood had almost 40 last night. Another guy, like it's just the NBA's just been all over the place. What's
It's going up with inflation, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, points per game, yeah. Like every game's at least like 100, like 110, 120 right now. So points are getting easy right now, man. Getting easy.
Yeah. So, there's so much content out. You guys definitely should be following Bullheaded_pod. It's a mixture of NBA, NFL, college, and things like that. Make sure you follow us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts. We're going to be putting a podcast out this week. Like you say, I do think March Madness is going to get a little crazy. So I will try to figure out some type of reels or things for that to cover that for a couple people that like college basketball. So make sure you tune in for that. And for me, Zoo and P-Bush, wow.